And there it is. We are live, coming at you live, alive, kind of alive, tired, back home, on the road, still home. Lots of variations of where we're all at right now. This is Saturday, July 30th, coming to you from the Helping Friendly podcast from our various home studios across the Eastern Seaboard as well as across America. And we are here today to talk with you about, from my perspective, a fascinating fish show from Raleigh, North Carolina on July 29th, 2022. I am here, as always, with Megan, Jonathan, and RJ from the road. How are you guys doing here today?
Sleepy. A little bit sleepy.
A little bit sleepy.
Yeah,
Meg, how are
I'm
you?
I'm really sleepy. I had 4 hours of sleep last night, and that's the second time this week I've done that. So it's starting to feel real. But I've got 2 days now, the rest of today and tomorrow, where I don't have much planned. But I am just going to be thinking back on last night for a while. It was really tremendous.
I feel that. RJ, how are you feeling right now? You are still on the road. RJ is on the road so much that he is not hearing us. So we will hear a check-in from RJ from the road. He's mid crossing the Bay Bridge, one of the Bay Bridges that takes you up the Eastern Seaboard to try to avoid traffic and get to Meriwether Post Pavilion on time. We are going to be joined here shortly, not immediately, but shortly, by two incredible guests. We have Evan Han on as well as Alex May. Evan Han is a longtime listener, first-time caller. Maybe he's called before, but we're going to have him on to talk through this show together. Alex May will be joining us as well. Alex joined us earlier this summer. You may recall we had an incredible conversation with him about the summer 1992 tour where Fish played Horde, the Santana runs, as well as a couple sprinkled in solo Fish shows that he was lucky enough to see one of each, which is just such a cool idea. It's such a cool experience. But we're going to have them on to talk about Raleigh. Before I jump into a few of our business-related notes, what are you guys immediate thoughts about last night? Just give me quick thoughts.
I got the space I was looking for. How about that?
You did.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
You did, man. You did. How about you, Meg? What's your quick, brief thought?
Super creative, dancey, so many songs I wanted to hear. Just super fun.
Super fun. It was that space you wanted to get, the flow. It was everything that we wanted. Let's talk really quickly before we dive into this, because there's a lot to get into in this show. I mean, for God's sakes, they decided to jam out a song that everybody was convinced was a 4-minute song forever. What is Fish going to jam out next? I have some interesting thoughts that I was texting with friends during the show. We'll all dive into that. But before we do need to tell you all about our amazing sponsor, Passion House Coffee. Here at Osiris, we are powered by a few things. Music, of course. The music from last night is the kind of music that drives you through sleep, even in middle and potentially old age. I'm not going to get into naming names, but potentially old age. We're also powered by coffee. I'm drinking some Passion House coffee right now, specifically our own blend here at Osiris Media, the Ocean of Osiris. Please visit passionhousecoffee.com to get some of this and other coffee today. You can use the code on your screen, or if you're listening, Osiris, OSIRIS, for free shipping on every order. And not only are we sponsored by Passion House Coffee, but we have a contest that is running all summer long. For each Fish show, we will be giving away bags of Ocean of Osiris coffee every single time Fish plays an Ocean song. Every time you hear an Ocean song, which there were a couple last night, just a couple. Tag Osiris using the Twitter handle @OsirisPod, as well as @PassionHouseCoffee. both of them on Twitter, and use the hashtag Ocean of Osiris. I'll repeat that again for everyone listening. For everyone who's watching, you can see this on the screen. At OsirisPod and at Passion House Coffee, get tagged. Use the hashtag Ocean of Osiris. We will pick 2 winners at random each night. And because there were ocean songs last night, we have winners tonight. And those winners are Brandon Vasquez and David Miller. David Miller will be a guest on this show in the next couple of nights, which I'm really, really excited about. Next couple of mornings, whenever we do this show, I don't know. But David's going to be joining us. Congratulations, both of you. Got bags of Passion House coffee coming your way. And remember, we still have a grand prize winner out there. Fish plays Sea and Sand, and you tag us in Passion House Coffee, you have a chance to win a Zoom coffee hang with Mr. RJB and Mr. Tommy Boy Marshall. I also, well, I guess I'll ask you guys, did you have any Passion House today? Did you have any coffee today?
I actually made some cold brew last week with some of my Ocean of Osiris beans, and I just finished a giant glass of it, and it'll probably kick in right about when we're done. So if I seem more energetic at the end of the show than I am here at the beginning, you'll know why.
That's it. We also want to tell you all about our contest and what we're doing in Atlantic City next weekend. Right this time next weekend, we will be in Atlantic City. First and foremost, if you haven't gotten your tickets for Fish at Atlantic City, you can get those at osirispod.com/AC. Best place to buy your tickets for Fish in Atlantic City. Go ahead and do that. But we are giving away tickets. We have a contest that's running right now. Here's what you need to do. We are giving away 2 3-day passes to Fish in Atlantic City. We did this earlier this week. It was awesome. We gave away passes to people. It was so much fun to be able to do that. If you RSVP to both of our free events, I'm going to tell you about here in a second, in Atlantic City, and reply with a screenshot to it using the link osirispod.com/Osiris Live. You can buy your tickets there. If you go ahead and you do that, you will enter to win 2 3-day passes to Fish in Atlantic City. Pretty amazing stuff. Fish on the beach. They're going to go back a little bit to the Midwest after this weekend, but then they're like, no, we're not done with the East Coast. Got to go back. Got to throw down in Atlantic City before moving back to the Midwest once again. So again, RSVP for both events. Screenshot. Maybe remove your email from the screenshot just so that that's not in there, but throw that up on Twitter at OsirisPod, and we will enter you to win those tickets. And what do we have going on in Atlantic City? Well, we have on Saturday at the Anchor Rock Club a set with John Barber playing acoustic, John Barber of the Disco Biscuits, of course, as well as we'll have members of this team. Megan's going to be there. RJ's going to be there. I may be calling in from afar. Who knows? Like, I'm out here in the mountains. I don't know if I can do it. We'll see. Maybe. I don't
think there's any direct line of communication between the mountains and the ocean. That's just not.
I'm just gonna put a tin can and a string and just throw it across the Great Plains. But we will be hanging there on Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. August 6th, and Sunday, August 7th, same time, same place, the Anchor Rock Club, for an auction that is benefiting the Water Wheel. We will be discussing Fish with special guests, and we'll be auctioning off Fish vinyl, posters, shirts, and other hard-to-find memorabilia. So join us for both these amazing events as you kick off and as you celebrate the AC weekend. We want to thank our sponsors at Tonewood Brewing. We'll have a ton of their amazing beers on tap. Again, as I noted in the AC ticket contest giveaway, buy your tickets at osirispod.com/Osiris Live. And while we're on the topic of Osiris Live, we have a show coming up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on Thursday, August 11th at the Cooperage. We'll be having a hang and a conversation with Riley Walker, and then he'll be playing a full show for us. This event, you can buy your tickets at osirispod.com/Milwaukee. This event is supported by 88.9 Radio Milwaukee. You can find it on the dial at 88.9 FM. Radio Milwaukee helps its listeners discover new music across genres through its 2 unique radio channels, 88.9 and HYFIN. 88.9 is an alternative station playing all kinds of music, and HYFIN is one of the first urban alternative stations in the country focused on playing all types of Black music. Throughout its 15 years on the air, Radio Milwaukee stations have been the first in the country to play artists like Lizzo, Alabama Shakes, James Vincent McMorrow, Valerie June, and more. Both stations add just released music every week, have a gender balanced playlist, and amplify Milwaukee-based artists. You can listen online at radiomilwaukee.org or through the Radio Milwaukee mobile application. So check them out. Buy your tickets for that event before Alpine Valley at osirispod.com/Milwaukee. And then finally, Osiris Live is coming to close out the summer tour at the Larimer Lounge Wednesday, August 31st. You see him on the screen, Mr. Jonathan Hart. He may be as exhausted, but ready to roll. He's ahead of a 4-day run there. We'll be interviewing Taper's Choice. You can get your tickets for that event at osirispod.com/Denver. We just got word yesterday that Barack Obama approves of Taper's Choice and recommended out all of their shows from this last year, every single one.
No
Barack
way.
Obama approves.
That's a summer live jam playlist that he must have released. Yeah, while we were busy.
That's
Raleigh.
amazing.
He was into it. So those are all of our events we've got going up. One last thing to tell you guys about. I will be on Wook Plus's After Fish After Show tonight, live 15 minutes post show. We love the dudes over at Wook Plus. They do an amazing job of recapping Fish right after the show happens. They do an amazing job of recapping Fish on Wednesdays via their show, The Lot. You can watch both of those at Wook Plus as well as on YouTube. Just search Wook Plus. Both of those Twitter, YouTube options. What do you guys say? Should we bring our guests on? And should we
Let's get to
hang out and talk about last night's show? Let's do this.
We're going to
bring Evan on. Evan, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you,
good.
dude?
Great, man. Just enjoying this nice warm day here in North Carolina, just like it was yesterday. So.
I love it.
Oh, that was
different
hot.
days, same vibe. We're also going to bring on Mr. Alex May. Alex, welcome back to the podcast.
Hello. How are y'all doing?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Great.
Still trying to unpack from last night. A lot happened.
We're going to all unpack with you. We're all trying to figure out what happened. We're also going to bring on Mr. RJB. We're hoping that we're able to hear him on the road. RJ, are you able to hear us, bro?
Have you guys heard the phrase "the agony and the ecstasy"?
Yes.
That phrase?
Indeed.
I was on one side last night, and now I'm on the other side.
Oh.
I'm sorry you didn't like the show.
I know. Drive, but this traffic is awesome.
Traffic is amazing. We always need one contrarian on the show to be like, was it that good? And I don't think RJ is going to play that role because I think I saw the pictures. So. RJ looked like he had a really good time.
I can confirm
that. Evan, I want to ask you really quickly. Was this your first show of summer tour? Have you seen shows before this summer tour, like before on this tour, or do you have anything else planned? Where are you at in terms of your tour journey?
I went to Charleston. I don't know if you consider that summer tour, spring tour, whatever, but I was in Charleston in spring. Yeah.
So go ahead.
So, this is my only show on this tour, unfortunately. So I think I picked a good one, to say the least. Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting when they don't do Atlanta on a tour. Like Raleigh or Charlotte is like the furthest. I mean, obviously they did the South in the spring run, so just a couple months ago. But like, if you're in that part of the country, it's like that's the one show you get to go to, and it's like, is it going to be a standout show, or am I just going to see like what is going to happen? And last night, I think you got pretty lucky. So I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on this. Alex, what was it like? Where are you at? Are you seeing multiple shows this tour? Or just it?
I now wish I was. I wish I was stuck in traffic on my way to Merriweather. But no, this is my one stop, and I couldn't ask for anything more.
Totally. I hear that. Well, we're going to dive into it. And yeah, it's the funny thing of being like, it's nice to be able to get like a sleep in my own bed tonight, but I kind of wish I was in traffic with the ability to go to the next show. So I understand that. Well, we want to jump into the show. We've got a lot to cover. You guys were all there. Every single person on the screen was there. I was not. My view is obviously tainted because I sat in a chair the entire night, watched on a television screen. You guys were in the rain, you guys were in the humidity. So I want to ask you all, starting with you, Evan, about the vibe of the show. And the vibe of the show is sponsored by our friends at Section 119. They are the premier apparel brand where many fans shop to represent their favorite band in everyday life. They have sophisticated designs and epic quality. Section 119 offers donut-inspired button-down shirts, board shorts, dry-fit polos, and hoodies, among many more awesome clothing types. You can use code SUMMER22 for 20% discount on your next purchase. So with that in mind, Evan, what was the vibe for you going into your first show in a couple months and your only show of this summer tour?
Just one more quick thing about Section 119. I like to say I just got I'm getting married next August, and half of my wardrobe is from Section 119. 10 out of 10.
Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's
So
awesome.
To the
Shout out
nines,
to
you should
Section
be.
119. Well done, man.
I just gotta say they do a great job. But anyway,
Love that.
I would say the vibe of the show. I mean, I guess pre-show. So I went with my longtime tour buddy that we both live here in the Raleigh-Durham area. Also took my fiance, who not the biggest fan, but this was actually her 10th show. So she slowly starting to get more and more into it. And I mean, and she also took her friend out that it was her first show. And like I said before, you know, the people watching, I mean, it never gets old, especially for someone that's it's their first time on lot or first ever time going to it. And yeah, I mean, I would say pre-show, the lot was lively. It was extremely sticky. I mean, one thing about living in the South, you never really get used to 95 degrees and 90% humidity. And it was every sense of the word. It felt every bit of it, but just a super festive atmosphere. You could tell a lot of people, and actually talk to a lot of people from the South. I mean, not just North Carolina, but South Carolina, Atlanta. They came to the show because it's the only show in the South this summer tour. So I would just say lively, very, I mean, what Fish show isn't, but it just felt like a lot of people like, oh boy, this might be the only show I get to this summer. That's the vibe that I felt. But starting about 30 or so minutes before the show, the clouds really started getting dark and everyone's like, oh boy, what's going to happen? And, you know, you start hearing some lightning, start seeing lightning, like, oh boy, this could be a Raleigh 97 all over again, you know? And actually, believe it or not, it only rained for like 5 minutes during the show, which was pretty, I mean, it seemed like we got super lucky when it came to that.
Too. It was like 1 minute here, 2 minutes there, just enough to make you think, oh, I might cool down. And then
Nope.
I
it was
think
like fat drops would fall every once in a while. You'd be like, it's gonna rain. No. Yeah.
I think if the venue was a mile like in a certain direction, it would have been torrential downpour, but it was just awesome, you know. But I mean, kind of like we were saying before, I mean, in terms of the show in general, I mean, it was just all over the place in the best possible ways. I mean, it just, my friend, her name's Liliana. It was her first show. You know, Taylor Swift and Beyonce are like her things, but she just didn't really know what to expect. And she's like, wow, this is absolutely all over the place. And that's what it was. I mean, from the big black furry creatures from Mars to Waste. I mean, it's just like, how different can things get in a matter of 20, 30 minutes, you know? So
Totally.
It's just awesome. Yeah. So
I love it. I was speaking of the storm, like we were watching it from home and the show started about 5:30 our time. So it's like still sun is super high up in the sky. We're hanging out outside watching it on the porch. And like 2 songs in, my wife and I were like, is it already dark there? It's like, it's only 70. It's only 7:30 in Raleigh. What's going on? And then, you know, we're like wondering like, well, it's so east in the Eastern time zone. So maybe it gets dark earlier. And then like there was one shot where you could just see like these ominous clouds hanging out over the lawn. Alex, this was your sole show of this tour of this year. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's actually my first in 3 years. So
wow. When was your last show?
Raleigh in 2019.
Wow, that is crazy.
Wow.
So that is amazing. Tell me, tell me what the vibe was like for you. I mean, this is like the first time you're really getting this sense of what it's
It was
like to be
definitely-
on a fish show in a while.
Yeah, it was definitely hot, but the overall atmosphere was celebratory. Like everybody was there, everybody was smiling. I kept like walking down parts of Shake Stream and running into people that I knew that I don't see in a while. So it was just a real celebration. Everybody was getting along and looking out for each other. I sat with a mix of like people I've gone to shows with before and people who were at their first shows, and everybody just was really elated and so excited to be there. So it was a lot of fun.
That sense of like, it's really interesting that you both have said this, like it's a lot of people's only show of the tour. And that can sometimes lead to a lot of pressure and a sense of like, almost like a tight show, not in like the best way, like a show that like, it feels like the band knows that they've got a lot of people there who are only seeing them once on a tour. A lot of like big songs that don't tend to go anywhere. Like last night felt the opposite of that. It felt very loose, and it felt like the band played to the sense of like, hey, I know you guys are all seeing the one show this tour, but we're going to make it worth your while, and everything kind of mixed and delivered. Jonathan, this was your first show of tour. Is this your only show of tour? No, you're coming to Dick's. I know this. What was your sensation coming to this show after not seeing them since Vegas?
Yeah, I was excited and rolled down with a few of my oldest friends, and we had a car full of dudes who'd known each other for a long time. Kevin Power in the chat accurately describes the vibe was full face melt. I know that's the show he had, and he rode down with us.
That's a dual meaning in North Carolina as well. You're just like
Yeah,
sweating like crazy, and it was a great show.
Yeah.
We wisely stopped at a great food place just east of town, little like new like food hall beer place, and cooled down, fueled up, then rolled into the lot, and it was brutal hot. And the minute I entered the parking lot, my cell phone reception disappeared, and didn't return until I was up on the lawn. And but people were throwing down. There was good shakedown out there. It was a little hot to truck around in it. Focused on the hydrating. Changed my shirt before we went in so I could, get another one completely wet. And yeah, we got up on the lawn. You could see the clouds. We were kind of hoping for a little rain. We were like, please let the rain kind of hold off till just after the sun goes down, so then it doesn't just immediately evaporate and turn into any more heat. Because I think the heat index was around 107 at the height before the sun started to drop.
Oh
and
my
it
God.
was brutal.
No wonder I felt like that.
Brutal hot. But we were all excited, and went up kind of high up on Mike's side on the lawn, and so we could have a fairly unobstructed view of the band, even though we were off center. And sound was good. Everybody was psyched. There was a bachelorette party I want to shout out, but I can't remember the name of the bachelorette, the bride to be right now. But they rolled up right behind us on the lawn, and they said, "Hey, tall guys, can we get in front of y'all?" And I'm like, "Well, are you here to party?" They're like, "Yeah." So we let them in front of us, and they had a great time. They were. So shout out to those ladies. They were having a great time, and yeah, it was a pretty good sound.
The bachelor party at a fish show. That's what my buddies did for me for my bachelor party 10 years ago. And it's the best. You're mixing all these great things in one.
They had tank tops that said, and I'm going to get her name wrong, but I want to say it's like Leanne's Last Meat Stick. And on the back, they had the meat stick dance illustration on it.
That is so good.
They were amazing. Yeah.
That's so good.
That's amazing. Super creative.
Good neighbors, too.
Megan, wrapping up this segment with you. So I've known for 6 months that you were going to these Raleigh shows. I think I didn't put it together in my head that you were just going to this show and then flying back home, that you were not doing Merriweather as well. So you flew down, you had a party bus, you did these shows. What was the vibe like for you going into this?
It's been a whirlwind, but in the best way. All of my college friends live in North Carolina, and so I flew down, spent the day with them. We went to like a really great brewery in Wake Forest. We did some like shopping. We hung out, sat in her patio, and just told stories all afternoon. It was just the perfect way to spend the day. And then they had orchestrated this huge party bus. There were 27 of us on this bus. And it was like a full Southern just throwdown on this bus. I mean, we had to turn around for a forgotten phone. We had a guy stop to get out and use the bathroom. We had 2 stops to pick people up. My pre-show anxiety was like through the roof. I texted Jonathan. I'm like, I'm just going to learn to surrender to the flow right now because this is fun and I'm just going to go with it. And honestly, it was so hot out. And so we were in the bus for a really long time, but we had the best time. We were playing 90s hip hop. If people are into that. We were playing like Far Side and Black Star and like Jurassic 5 and De La Soul. We were just dancing our asses off in the air-conditioned bus. So it's not a bad way to spend a pre-show. And we rolled in, actually, by the time we got out of the bus and made it into the venue, got a drink, and the show started right when we got to our seats. And we were at the very back of the pavilion, like one of the last rows, kind of dead on. We were like 10 or 15 rows behind the tapers. So the sound was killer. And I had to like debut a new hairdo because it was so hot. I was like, what the hell do I do with my hair when it's this hot? So it was just like, I did this like teenager vibe thing. I was just, I really was, I've never sweat like that. And I lived in North Carolina for 3 years. Like I have no excuse. I should know this. I've been to Walnut Creek, but it just, I guess I haven't been in a while. And it was fucking hot. You know, I was really, really hot, but
It's hard to
I still
properly
danced the whole
explain
set.
oneself in that climate.
Right.
It really
It's
is.
just,
It
you're
was
just
so
dripping.
hot.
I used
Yeah.
to live in Maryland, and I remember thinking my first summer in Maryland, like, I can't believe that there are states south of me, and it's as hot as it is in
Yeah.
Maryland. I was like, what in the hell is going? Like, this is as
What's
hot
down
as I've ever
below?
experienced. Like, how do people live south of here?
They just live in air conditioning. They don't dance outside to music for 4 hours.
Exactly.
Idiots, you know.
Exactly. Well, thank you all for setting the table here. Let's jump into the music. Everyone had kind of a similar but different experience last night, and that's really cool. Like, it seems like everyone got into the show feeling really good. Friday night in the South. Set 1, the band comes out and they appropriately drench us in funk and then Chugel with MoMA Dance and Possum. Fairly standard opener, but like, come on, it's like you're just grooving at that point in time. Like, you can't complain. They go into Steam because, of course, it's steamy, which then goes into the Steamy Stash, which then goes back into Steamy Stashy Steam, then goes into Funky Bitch. Probably, you know, we got like Bachelorette Parties on the lawn. We got Megan debuting new hairdos.
They
Like,
were
we're just,
throwing down.
I mean,
everyone's grooving.
oh,
The
I had the
Wedge.
whole aisle at that point. I just have to tell you, everyone had left my aisle, and I was just like, I
That's
was
the
throwing
moment.
down. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
The Wedge, Horn, and then that went into one of the most shocking moments of a tour that has shocking song placements and song jams with a 21-minute version of Rise Come Together, which then ended the set. Alex, starting with you, what was your highlight of this overall set, and what was your impression of it all?
So I'm going to give you a baseball metaphor. I felt like the start of Steam. I'm sorry, I'm not a sports person, but
I'm teasing.
Just roll with this. I'm all about the baseball metaphors here.
we had a runner on second at the start of Steam, and it was like that move. Do you steal third? Do you steal third? And you could see Trey's face up on the jumbotron. He's like, I think I can get to stash. And all of a sudden he went to stash, and it was like he stole third base. This shit was unreal. But the highlight for me, obviously, was the Rise Come Together. It was just phenomenal. It got dark. It got dirty. It kept going and expanding. I felt like at one point Trey was trying to like hit a peak, and Paige was like, nope, we're staying with this. And I don't know if you could see the lights at home, Brian. The lights were fantastic. We had like spaceships taking off. I felt like there were hidden messages at times in the lights. It was just amazing.
Yeah, it's that jam, and I'm guessing we're going to talk about it a lot here. That jam was full intra-band communication. There was a lot of, I don't want to say there was any sort of hesitation, but there was definitely moments where like it felt like it could end, and another member was like, no, I've got this idea. And then they just followed that, and that took them for 3 or 4 minutes. And then they followed another one. And like, it was mesmerizing to see from afar. Evan, what was your big highlight? Was it, I'm guessing we're all going to have the Rise as our big highlight here, but what were your thoughts on it?
Absolutely amazing. It just felt like they went off and they tried going in so many different directions in 20 minutes. And that's just the thing that I love about Phish is like, where's the jam going to go here? And then Trey just slams into another gear for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. It's like, where are we going right now? Which is awesome. But honestly, though, as great as that was for me, I just loved all the scenes in it. I mean, the steam and the stash was just, it literally made the hair on my back go up. Like, and this that sound, even though it's only 10 seconds total, maybe I don't know exactly. It's just there's something about that. Like that's the sound efficient when it goes, when it just syncs together so perfectly, and it just makes it feel right. I don't know. That's to me personally, that is peak Fish. That's like why I love like those little moments. So those are big moments to me. Yeah.
It's one of those funny segues that like it could have been really forced and not come across well on tape. But
Yeah.
I listened back to it. Like even in the moment, I was like, do I hear Stash?
Yep.
And like, I was like, because I have a text thread with buddies, and one of the things we asked was, what is the song that nobody anticipates that's going to go 13 minutes this set? And someone said Stash. And it was during Steam, and I was like, well, it could be Steam. This jammed, to back in the fall tour. And then, of course, they go into Stash and then back into Steam. And then the unexpected highlight is Rise Come Together. But I was listening back to it, and he finds Stash and then takes like just enough time to tiptoe into there and then commits. And then when it's time for Stash to take off, finds Steam and tiptoes. It was breathtaking to listen to.
Yeah.
Jonathan, you are a Stash fiend. Was that your moment? Was Rise? What was the big moment for you?
Well, I'll tell you, I was excited from the beginning. The first couple songs were a good table setter, like really good table setter, a lot of dancing. Steam came. I have like one of my friends is not too into Steam. I'm okay with it, and I thought I was enjoying it. I knew there was a good potential for at least some kind of jam, but that transition into Stash, wow. And then without really finishing Stash, they flow right back, like just hinting at Manteca, but no, that's actually just Steam, and the Trey changes the tonation, goes right into the proper Steam return, and that was amazing. But yeah, obviously, Rise Come Together is my big highlight for the show. It had been brutally hot. We had the clouds were building. Maybe one brief like sprinkle on us up on the lawn already at this point. And, where I was on Mike's side, I could turn to the left and see what was probably more Page side, but well beyond the hill, the storm really building. And early in Rise Come Together during like the first verse, big old lightning.
It started raining.
And then on the first chorus, rain came down right as Rise Up, and the freaking rain came for a second, and it got a huge cry from the audience. I don't know if Trey just thought that we were digging the song, but we were thanking the rain. But the lightning kept building, and I don't know if they could see it, but I have to imagine standing on the stage with Trey with his 1,000-yard stare looking out at the at beyond the audience, probably could see lightning. It was definitely straight ahead of him, and if he did, I imagined in the moment that he did, and I felt like that they were racing the storm. They're like, if we're gonna get this set's gonna get called for storm, we're gonna jam the shit out of this until they flag us down. And that's what they did, except they didn't get flagged down. I don't know who listened to the Wook Plus episode where they had Bobby's manager on. He talked actually a good bit about like weather delays for outdoor shows and stuff. And they have every venue's got its own rules, and the different jurisdictions and things have their own rules about it. But it's often some combination of lightning strikes within a certain range. If it does within a certain range. Radius of the venue, they have to call the show for like 30 minutes or something until no more lightning strikes in that range. Well, I don't know what the range is for Raleigh, but that storm was pretty close, and it looked like it kept getting closer. So I was like, you know what, they're going to jam this out, they'll take set break, the storm will move on, and we'll be good. And that's basically what happened. But they went huge. The jam was intense. Multiple areas of improv, everybody was getting down. I was blown away, and then they reprised the song and ended it nicely. actually kind of a short set on paper, like if you look at the timings,
Yeah.
but it didn't feel super short, and it was a good time to stop, let the storm pass, and get down with set 2.
It's really helpful context for a couple reasons. First and foremost, like everyone I was texting with who was watching from afar was like, wow, that was a short set, even after a 21-minute jam to close it out. But that makes a ton of sense. Also, I was my when they started playing Rise, my wife's immediate thought was like, this is kind of weird in the middle of the first set, isn't it? Like this usually isn't played here. And I kind of expected it was gonna be a 5-minute Rise and they'd play 3 songs and close out the set type of thing. We'd have a pretty standard set. The other thought is like, you know, they did this with sample. They've done it a couple times, but they did this at Bethel, where they play sample. They get far away from sample, and kind of at the point where it's like, okay, we're going to peak this, and we can either keep going or we can figure out a way to return to sample. They do that about 13 minutes, and there was a moment where the jam peaks and rise. I looked at the set time; it was about 13 minutes in the jam, and I was like, okay, this is the time to bring it back home. We did a cool little jam off of Rise, fun, ha ha ha. But instead, Page moves the synths, and I think he also was like, he was playing the clav and the synth that sounded like at the same time. So there's this like funky bit, but like some noise, some space underneath. And Fishman immediately caught onto it, and Trey was like, cool, we're just going to keep going. And it was that like post-peak style jamming that always gets super interesting. And I wonder if, to your point, Jonathan, that was them like anticipating a flagging down and instead being like, all right, let's just play for another 7 minutes and see what's happening here.
Yeah, like I can't know how oblivious they are or not to that. I just,
Right.
you know, most things I know they can't see, but lightning is pretty bright, so maybe.
Well, and it's a tall roof. It looks like, compared to like Merriweather tonight is going to have that like slanted roof where they have like a little bit of a sight line out to the lawn. It looks from, at least from the webcast, that they have a pretty good view of the sky. Megan, how about you? What was your big highlight from the set?
Yeah, just thinking about what you were talking about, all of you, I think that were a lot of moments in this show, especially in the second set, where jams could have ended and they allowed them to just breathe and sit in like ambient or dissonant sounds and kind of let the next thing come in a way that really stood out to me. And I think that started in that Rise Come Together. Anytime they play Moma Dance and Funky Bitch in a set is probably going to be a set that I'm really happy with. And all day I was calling Sneaking Sally. And so when I heard those two in the first set, I was like, it's coming. And, you know, I just think anytime I get to hear 2 riff songs back to back, like this is a great set for me.
Yes.
I loved it. You know, the steam stash sandwich. There's a lot to love in this first set, especially listening back. I'm like, there's actually more than just the Rise Come Together. But yeah, that jam was gorgeous, beautiful peaks. And it ended like, it didn't feel short at all. And for me, it was really different because I was in the back of the PAV and I couldn't see the lightning at all. So I felt like a couple drops. Yeah, I never saw any of that until set break when I was hanging out with Jonathan on the lawn, which we'll talk about in a minute. But it was totally different experience. I just felt a couple raindrops, but otherwise I never saw any of the lightning. So
RJ, are you able to hear us, and are you able to share with us your highlight from the first set?
Yeah. Hey guys. Yeah. I mean, I think they. I got to take my friend Jim, who's one of my best friends, but it was his 3rd Fish show, and I got to see it through the eyes of someone who doesn't really know what to expect at shows. And one time, you know, there was 2 moments in the first set where I told him like, "This has never happened before," you know, like the stash and out of steam. And then you could hear like whenever that was 3 minutes into Rise Come Together when Trey just hit that chord that was like it was taking off. And so it was really fun to be able to tell him like you're seeing things that haven't happened before, probably won't again. So that's just it's just why we keep going back, you know.
Totally.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah, it was cool to talk with Jim about that on the at set break. He was pretty excited about it and having a really good time.
I was thinking a lot because like the reactions I was getting via text when they started jamming Rise Come Together were more like, oh my God, I can't believe this is like, it was almost like laughing at the fact that they were jamming this song because there's been so many unexpected jam vehicles. Right.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I was
another dad rock song we got to like, great.
I want to be totally honest. Like, it is not my favorite of the newer songs. And of course, now that there's a jam attached to it, like I had to like think about it in a totally different way. And I was thinking about like, we'll get to this in the second set, but like Rise, Ruby Waves, Soul Planet, Everything's Right. These songs, they're such short songs, and they're such like symbolic statements that Trey seems to be making about his worldview, and they affect a Fish show in a totally different way than like the composed songs did 20, 30 years ago, or even like eerie, weird songs like Ghost and Carini did. Like they allow him to like say this message, get it out in 3 minutes, and then explore musical soundscapes that add to the meaning of the songs. Which, like for me, I was just sitting there being like, okay, I think, of course, now I like this song more than I did, 21 minutes ago. But like, it's also like it suddenly has more significance. But as everyone noted, we are.
So Brian, if they jam My
yeah.
Soul, are you going to like it then?
150%
Dude,
yes.
that Dick's
yes.
My
Okay.
Soul is going to be so good.
So good. I hope it goes like 25 minutes.
Well, I'll have that realization of like, oh, of course, like it is
if
my
it can go
soul
here, it
in
must
musical
be
form.
okay.
It's going into
Exactly.
this area. Like this is my soul. I get it now. All right, let's talk set break because the reins open up. You guys all got a chance to connect. Our set break sponsor, as always, our wonderful sponsor here at HFPod is Sunset Lake CBD. Megan, do you want to tell us about Sunset Lake CBD?
Absolutely. Sunset Lake CBD's line of smokable hemp products are for the old deadhead or for the young fish fan. Anybody searching for a mellow body high, which is definitely what I need today after this week of 3 shows. I need some mellow everything. Smoking CBD has all the benefits of high THC cannabis, but there's no paranoid and anxious side effects. They have 9 different strains from this year's harvest, so there's something for everyone. The Hawaiian Haze is great for an outdoor show, and Cherry Abacus is best for the end of the night. Had some of that last night after I got home on the party bus. Danced for hours again to hip hop, and then got home and had some Cherry Abacus so I could relax. I should have used some of the salve that Jonathan's holding up because that would have been really good on my knees. Maybe I'll use that. I left it here in Brooklyn, so maybe I'll use some tonight. My knees were like completely swollen when I got home. I just, too much dancing, too much fun. So Sunset Lake also has a farm to table approach that gets you really great pricing because they're going to ship their products directly from their farm to your door. So check them out today at sunsetlakecbd.com. You can use the coupon code HFPod and you're going to get 20% off all your products. Sunset Lake CBD is farmer owned and Vermont grown.
And as it is farmer owned and Vermont grown, it also, that is one true statement. It also leads us in to our segment where we talk about set break. This is another true statement. Alex, what was your set break vibe last night? What happened to you during set break?
So I normally do have a set break routine, which I didn't follow much to what I normally like
Better
to
for the show.
Yeah, make a beeline for the bathroom, grab some water, go back, catch up with friends, people watch. Wound up having to help my friend kind of calm down a little bit after that rise come together, which is happy to do that. But then got stuck in the long line at the men's room. It's like there was a line outside, there was a line inside. Everybody was taking these like record shattering peas. It's just like, I've been standing behind you for 5 minutes. What's going on? And then it was your turn and it took 5 minutes. So we went back and had a good time. But yeah, it's part of the vibe too, though. It's just the hot, sweaty men's room and
healthy hydration is all.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I didn't even go
outside.
for the whole show. I'm so
Oh, wow.
dehydrated.
Oh,
It was
well,
not. It was not good. No, I think I sweat it all out. So
yeah,
gross.
that's it. You like go into one of those bathrooms and you're like, I'm gonna pass out, and then you walk out into like 95 degrees of humidity and you're like, this is so refreshing. What in the world is this?
Exactly.
Evan, how about you? What was set break like for you?
Pretty standard set break. Actually, I made a beeline straight to the bathroom because I drank about 3 liquid deaths during the first set, which weirdest branding ever. I'm sure they're great, but I made a beeline straight. They actually had porta potties like next to the bathrooms, and that line wasn't much longer. And of course, porta potty at set break. Yeah, not exactly the best thing.
Not for the faint of heart. Yeah.
Not for the
walk
faint
in
of
and
heart.
it's dark
No.
and you're like, what is going
No.
on in here? Just do what you need to do and get out.
Right.
Yeah.
It's get
Just
in
don't
and
think about it.
get in, get out. And just like you said, you step outside like, oh my God, I'm like in a cooler now. It's only 95 out here now, because anyway, but yeah, pretty standard. I caught up with one of my friends and, had some difficulty finding my crew again. It's, that's just how it goes sometimes. And, but made it back just in time for the first song. Yeah. So.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
Making it back in time is key, especially
Very
like that
key.
long where you're like, I knew we were over here, but now I'm lost.
Right.
There's just people everywhere.
Exactly. Yep.
Jonathan, Megan, RJ, I think you guys all had a chance to connect during set break. Tell me about that.
Well, I'll tell you, my set break routine sometimes includes running to the bathroom, but not usually because it's the aforementioned lines. So typically I like to stay put. And because I was the one on the lawn and they were not, I stayed put, told them where I was, and before long, Megan walked up, and soon after, RJ walked up, and we had a good little hang.
Love it. Love it. That's amazing.
It was great. I was down in the pavilion, and my friend and I were like, okay, we've got to go find Jonathan and RJ. We were like on a mission, kept, reading the text 3 times to make sure I understood the coordinates. And before we're heading up there, I look over at my friend and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so hot. And she's like, whoa, look at you. And I was wearing like a bodysuit that was like a light color, and it was just like sweat marks like all over it. I was like, I have to go meet Jonathan. Like, this is horrible. Like, I am covered in sweat marks. I was embarrassed. So I was just hoping that nobody would notice.
Was soaked through. Don't worry.
We were all just so disgusting. We were glowing.
If you had somehow arrived
glowing.
Dry, you were wet by the time we got
Yeah, exactly.
Transfer. It was bad.
So brutal.
I blame the rain.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
fair point.
But it was so fun, and it was just great to be together, and we were really missing you, Brian.
Likewise, I was what was I doing at set break? I think I was on bedtime duty and getting the kids flossed and brushed and ready to go to bed. I'm curious, like, how many people ran to the bathroom when Rise Come Together started and then walked out and were like, wait, what's happening right now? And thought they were getting ahead of things, and then, hung out through a 20-minute jam and then hung out through set break. RJ, if you're able to hear us,
if you did it.
Yeah, you come right out and you hear the jam. RJ, if you're able to hear us, did you have a good, successful set break?
Yeah, I was telling you about my friend Jim, and he was like, you're the boss, you just tell me what to do. And I was like, all right, here's what we're going to do. This jam's going to end in 2 minutes. So right now we're going to leave. We're going to go use the bathroom. We're going to get a drink. We're going to share some chicken tenders. And then we're going to go to the lawn to meet our friends. And he was like, all right. And then we did all that stuff. And so we did that all without any crowds whatsoever. And then went up and hung out with Jonathan and Megan. It was great.
See, this is why I love to see shows with RJ. There's a plan in place, but there's always fun involved at the same time. Chicken tenders without a line, that is because now you're good for the rest of the show. You don't have to worry about anything. Good.
Yeah,
good
I should have
move.
done something like that. I was just so like worried about getting to Jonathan that I was like, I can't do anything else. So I really wanted to see you, Jonathan.
Love it. I love it. We are good friends here at HFPod. That is where the friendly part comes in. It's not from a fish song. We actually like each other. This is important. Well, thank you once again to to Sunset Lake CBD for sponsoring our set break segment. We are going to move into set 2 here, which is a set 2. We open with the punk rock version of Big Black Furry Creature from Mars, Carini, Into Waste, Into Ruby Waves, Into Beneath a Sea of Stars, into Piper, into Light, into Shine a Light, and then our encore was the 4-song Strange Design, Heavy Things, Sneak and Sally Through the Alley as Megan called, and Wilson. Alex, starting with you, because I know that you were on a short time clock here. What was your big highlight of the second set / encore?
I don't have one. I mean, Megan,
That's
you talked
doable.
You talked a lot about flow. To me, like, they quickly found this balance of like light and dark, and you were constantly being pulled in different directions. And the jams were never the same, but they were able to kind of get back to this primordial, like, spaceship floating. I don't know how to describe it. The Big Black Furry punk rock was great. Possibly the Carini is the jam. But when they started Ruby Waves, I had this feeling like, okay, this is going to be like a 6-minute Ruby Waves and we'll move on to the next idea. But then they went right back out there, and it just kept going. Jonathan, the waist was wonderful. It was so beautiful. Just Paige sounded amazing. Trey was tearing it up. If you make me pick, maybe the Carini, but like the whole thing just had such epic flow. It was so good.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, the flow was alive in that second set. Evan, how about you? Did you have a big highlight, or were you kind of on the same page? There was the whole thing.
It's so hard to pick one certain thing. I mean, I really liked the Piper, like the end of it. I mean, it was maybe 11 minutes or so, but it was short. Not short, but it was just one of those nice like micro jams that I was really good. I guess on a personal note, like I said, my fiance, she's not the biggest Fish fan, but it was her 10th show. Her 2 favorite songs are Carini and Waste. So just
that's cool.
Getting those back to back. I mean, that was like, that's all she could ask for. And it was great. And, yeah, it's great. And I've never seen a big black furry creature from Mars. And it was just awesome. Kind of like you were saying earlier about, I don't know if the band could see the lightning. I think they 100% saw the lightning. Especially
I bet they
Trey.
did at set break.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've seen, there's a video on Twitter that someone took. It was during Carini, and it was the lightning. Like it was like by that time it was Page side, and it was just going off. And it's just it's funny. People were joking like, "Oh man, CK5's a rig, man. It's got some crazy updates going now, man." So I mean, I really loved it all. There really honestly wasn't a specific thing. It flowed so well, and parts got so dark and so spacey, and it was just like spaceships blasting off, man. So that's all I can ask for.
That video could have been taken from my spot. I was watching the lightning all night. Most of the night. It again, it was over Page side, and then it just kind of moved, and it went off behind the pavilion, behind the amphitheater in the distance, but it was around until probably end of show. It's great.
Yeah.
So I feel like, to both of your points, because when I think about this set, I think that this set is going to be very different from, say, like Jones Beach Night 1 or Bangers second set, where you had these like very clear, distinct highlights that we'll go back to. Hartford, even in this sort of regard, where you have like the Wave of Hope, song I Heard the Ocean Sing, Blaze On segment. Banger, of course, has the 30-minute Disease. Jones Beach has that big Waves, or the Leaves, excuse me. Sounded like a Waves jam, but like
most of the same letters.
Most of the same, they're all right there. Like those sets, to me, I go back to them and I'm like, that is the moment I want to listen to. Last night was more in line with like how the Great Woods second sets were, how some of the Man second sets were, how most of Bethel was, where I'm just going to press play and I'm not going to skip a song, because even when they decided, hey, we're going to take it down with Waste, or we're going to play something like, I really love Beneath the Sea of Stars, but like something super mellow, it works in conjunction and is like this puzzle piece with the larger set. Jonathan, I texted you in the larger group. We had talked maybe a week ago about wish list items revolving around Fish somehow incorporating Dark Star. To me, that Ruby Waves goes into like as close to a drum space, like MIDI segment as I've heard. And then fade into Beneath the Sea of Stars. And I was like, this is it right here. What was it for you? Was there a big highlight, or was it the whole thing?
That's my highlight. But I will start by saying the loudest noise I made all night, and the loudest noise I've made since I was in Las Vegas, was the first chord of Big Black Furry Creature from Mars. I was like,
yes,
just I scared the entire Bachelorette Party. But hey, and then the way they sang that with like more Ramones-ish than
so
ever
good
that I can ever recall. And I've heard some weird ones, but this one was distinct and beautiful. Actually, it was really cool. I like that arrangement, that vocal arrangement.
Same.
killer start. First time it's ever started a second set that we know of. And then Carini's great. Had that Shermith pointed out. RJ pointed it out in our text thread too. That the jam in that got very much like Sigma Oasis, but they didn't go there. They just toyed with it and moved on. I thought that was good and smart. And then, Landed Waste, that was nice. But Ruby Waves is spacey as hell. Like it was bonkers. So this was my pee break actually. I started Ruby Waves, and I was like, we're probably gonna get a jam, but I'm going to the can, and I was like, zoom, and by the time the jam was starting, I was walking out back to at the bottom of the lawn and walking out to go find her spot. I was like, holy cow, here we go. And it was just crazy weird. Trey was playing tones that I can't recall hearing from him in ages. Like he had his synth dialed in just such a way. It reminded me of MIDI guitar. And just crazy noises. You were watching from home, and I was pretty far back. Did Mike use the drill at the end of that? Because there was just some
he was using the drill.
I thought it was the drill, but it sounded.
There was a
different than
moment
usual.
where they showed the stage, and like Paige, Trey, and Fish were all playing and all like hyper connected, and Mike was fiddling with something. And I was like, I think he's getting the drill. It sounds like that point. And then they moved the camera back, and you just heard the high pitched whir, and it was.
Okay.
It's cool how that has become incorporated in jams. Almost 10 years since Wingsuit was written, but like that was
Mercury.
or Wingsuit. Yeah. It's like
Wingsuit.
Here we go. We're going to throw this in here. There was another point this summer where that happened. Meg, how about you? Are you on the same page where like the whole set, but like these little segments, like where were you at in terms of your overall highlights?
Well, the biggest highlight for me was that RJ and his friend Jim came down to our section and we got to hang out together. And I cannot articulate how much fun I had dancing with RJ. It was, I can't even talk about it. I just can't wait to do it again. It was really made the whole entire set just incredibly special. So when they started that set with Big Black Furry Creature from Mars, my last one was in Red Rocks 96. I just looked at him and I was like, oh my God, like it is fucking on tonight.
Nice.
And we just threw down so hard the whole set. I really have 3 highlights that are like practically the whole set, but the whole segment of Ruby Waves, Sea of Stars, and Piper was just an incredible section of music. I mean, none of it should be missed.
Static when they laid it in Sea of Stars.
It was so beautiful. And I don't know if it was just because I was like blissed out and hanging with RJ, but that song just hit me so hard last night. And this Piper with the like Big Black Furry Creature from Mars quotes over the end, it was so evil and dark. You listen to that, you cannot believe it's only 11 minutes, that Piper. There were so many songs like that in the set that I was like, how is this only 8 minutes? There's like a million ideas. It was just brimming with creativity. This whole set was. And Shine a Light is one of my absolute all-time favorite songs ever. And I haven't heard it in a while. And to have that moment with RJ, we were just loving it. So the whole set was fantastic. And the Sneak and Sally that's my jam.
RJ sent a picture to our group chat of you guys hanging out, and you were just a blur of dancing, which I was like, that is as appropriate as it gets right there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Evan.
After the show, I was just talking to my tour buddy about this, and it's just last night's show was a prime example of it. At least for me, I would rather have an entire show of just really good jams that go all sorts of different ways than one show that has like one 25 or 35 minute jam that's just like completely bash you off. Where last night's show was just like an entire, the whole
ride.
second set was just a ride, and that's what Fish is to me. So
I feel like last night, there's been this back and forth conversation of like, how do we look at this tour? Because 2021 was so strong, and it's really hard sometimes the year after to be like, we're in a strong tour, we're in a strong year, because it's wrong to do this. I'm just going to put that out there, but like the immediate intention is to compare it to the year before. Whereas like if this year happened in 2021, would people be praising it the same way that they were 2021? I would think so, yes. To me, last night really solidifies how good of a tour this is. To your exact point there, Evan, like you can't point to one moment last night. And taken on its own, maybe aside from the rise, I don't think that there would be like one singular jam that people would point to and be like, that was an extreme highlight. But the whole second set strings together as almost one jam segment. And it's like one musical conversation that's evolving and bobbing and weaving. It feels a part of itself. So to me, thinking about last night's show, I think that like last night solidifies how good of a tour this is, because sometimes their approach last night doesn't totally work, and it did fully. Jonathan, I know you had some additional thoughts about the show. What do you want to say, or about the set?
Yeah, I mean, Sea of Stars is you mentioned this, that we talked about it recently, and I've been wanting them to kind of, well, I just wanted to hear Sea of Stars. It occupies a certain space that they don't always get to. They don't often get to, particularly without this song. And I feel like, just as you were saying, that pairing out of Ruby Waves was just an extended space, with a little break for melody and some words, and then back to space. The Piper built not slowly, but not fast.
No, I was thinking that too. It's like a little
it
bit
was-
of a, it was almost a slow build.
It's as
Pretty
close
close.
as you're gonna
Almost.
get these days.
Yeah.
It was about a minute. It was about a minute and 8 seconds. I timed it this morning when I re-listened to it. because I felt the same. I was like,
Mhm.
In the moment, it
they're never
feels
gonna-
like a good
does.
slowdown, or
does.
feels like they're not rushing. But then you get home, and it's a minute. But even the big slow builds were rarely very many minutes. So,
Right.
and as I said, this is about as slow as you're gonna get these days. But I wanted to call out like some of the jamming at the end. There was like Trey was messing with Odd Couple theme a little bit.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty rad. And then I liked the light shine a light setup. Light always has good jam potential. This one didn't really go there, but it felt really strong, and shine a light was just perfect to rap. And then the set ended. We were like, it's only 10:30.
Yeah.
And then
We're like,
It felt
they
like a
have a lot
complete
of
set,
time.
but it,
Score.
yeah.
I mean, it felt like a complete set,
Yeah.
but it was still
But it
like,
still
how is
felt-
this only?
Right.
And yeah, great encore, 4 songs. Strange Design was really nice to see. I hadn't seen that in a while, so was excited for that. In fact, I wanted to see my personal gaps on that, and it's because it's been 22 shows since they played it, I think, and
it's
for
MSG.
me, I haven't seen it since 2009. So
Wow.
Oh,
Happy-
wow.
happy
That's
to
been a
get that one.
while. Yeah.
I was
Also,
thinking.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Brian. I was just going to say that the end of Shine of Light, that guitar solo, Trey, it just had some extra meat on it. He seemed to not want to stop. I mean, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
and
the
that
middle guitar
song-
solo on that. It was it felt a little different, but it was really
Yeah.
That song, like, I will never forget the
Mm.
first time that they played that at the Exile set. And, we sometimes are guilty of, accepting that the recovery, the health changes that Trey's been through are just kind of like, they're just, they are where they are. But like, go back to 2009, it was very, very like, seeing him as healthy and looking as good and as clean as possible as he did then, it felt incredibly special. And I remember the first time that they played that, like I lost it. Like the first couple of times that they played that song, I
Yeah.
couldn't. I choked up. And I think about like Ruby Waves, a song that was written at the depths of that struggle that he was going through, and to now be played 15 years later and just be a reliable set highlight in a moment of like accomplishment and achievement. And then to end this set with Shine a Light, throw light in there, a song that was written as he was figuring his way out of all of that darkness. Like, there were a lot of really cool, lyrical moments that were fused with musical moments. I thought from a musical standpoint, I got a text from a friend during the Rise Come Together jam. They were like, this sounds like a Light jam. And so then to like play Light later in the show where you get kind of that bouncy, calypso, funky, spacey vibe that was going on. I don't know. It felt like I listened back to it this morning, and that second set it is one of those sets that you press play on Big Black Furry Creature from Mars because it's a hilarious set 2 opener. It's the first time they've played it since Animals Night. It's a cool spin on the song. The set listing of going from that space to Carini feels brilliant to me in a lot of ways. I look at the set and I'm like, that is a masterclass in set listing, featuring new songs, featuring old songs. You've got songs with a 29 show gap, 23 show gap, 46 show gap. So you're getting some rare moments in there where nothing feels predictable. The jams are amazing. It's a really, really good set of music.
It has an arc. Goes from light. I mean, goes
Completely.
from dark to light.
Totally
Like,
agree.
It literally just takes you over. And the Kareem
It's just the flow of the show.
Yeah.
It's the flow of the
Great.
show.
Outstanding.
It's the one thing that they have gotten, I think, in the last 5, 6, 7 years. They keep getting better and better at it. I mean, yeah, like Trey may not be able to absolutely rip Maze like he did in 1996, but I mean, he can put on a hell of a show. I'm just saying, yeah.
Yeah,
challenge. There's 2 this year that you can listen to that he fucking rips on. Sorry, that's my trigger point, Evan.
You will die on
you
will die on the Fast Maze Hill. I'm in agreement with you, Evan. I think the thing that's really fascinating is like the way that they have shifted their approach to these very melodic, lyrical type of musical moments that when they work best, like they did in this show, it makes it something that stands both as a part of the whole career, but also as a testament to where they are right now. RJ, if you were able to hear us from the middle of I-95's traffic, can you share with us your big highlight from set 2?
Hanging out with Megan.
There it is.
Well said, sir.
It was next level.
I'm so glad you guys got that. That's awesome.
Great. It was like one long jam. I mean, the whole thing was great. I thought the second set was phenomenal.
It was an incredible second set. I'm super into it, and we have to celebrate one last time. This is our lasting highlight of the show, and this segment is sponsored by our very good friends at Free. Fans for Racial Equality seeks to build an anti-racist live music scene and promote liberation through racial equity in the world at large by activating the collective power of our community. By facilitating thoughtful engagement around race and its intersection with other issues, Free empowers fans to challenge discrimination and systemic oppression wherever they see it. To get involved in Free's education, outreach, and community partnership programs, you can sign up on the screen to volunteer at fansforracialequity.org. You can also share in the groove at the Free table. During a show, they will be at every venue for the entirety of Fish's summer tour. So as we are looking back on this show overall here, Evan, if we're 5 years from now, what do you think is the moment that we're listening to?
I mean, I know it's probably going to be everyone's answer, but I mean, the Rise Come Together. I mean, I would have never thought in a million years that they would ever even come close to playing at 20 minutes, and especially the way the jam went. I mean, it's going to be the one thing, but I mean, I think I absolutely love the steam and the stash. I mean, I think I could see myself listening to that again in several years as well. Yeah, it was just an awesome show, and just as you said before, I mean, the entire second set was just a freaking journey. It was awesome. So
yeah. I love it. I'm right there with you. So everything. We will be listening to this show in 5 years. And actually, that's an appropriate answer because there's a lot of shows that we won't be listening to the full show of. If you want to say that we will be listening to this show in 5 years, that's a bold but good statement. I like that. Jonathan, How about you? Do you have one moment? Or do you have everything?
I think it might be the Steam Stash Steam. It's a unique thing. It ain't going to happen again. It expertly executed. It was just, I think I think that's the thing. Like the jams are great. The second set is amazing, and I won't forget it. I will go back to it. But I think that even randos who weren't paying attention this year to this tour or this show in general will come across that and be like, "Dude, did you know? Have you heard the Steam Stash Steam?" Yes, young man, I was there. That'll be the conversation.
It kind of reminds me of the maze, Shafty Maze from Burgettstown
Right.
2000. Like it's like you said, it's one of those things that will probably never happen again, and it's so unique. How about you, Meg? What is your 5 years from now lasting highlight?
Well, it's going to be one for me personally. I'm just going to put on this whole second set and remember how much fun I had and how I got to just enjoy a show for the first time with someone and just feel all those vibes. So, whole second set.
That's it. Yeah, second set is going to be one of those things we go back to. I think I'm in agreement with all of you guys, and I think based on the everything vibe, they're going to play Everything's Right tonight at Merriweather. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a good one. That's my prediction. I guess they played it just 2 shows ago, so maybe on Sunday, who knows? But I think I'm going with the Rise. I listened back to it. In the moment, I was like, cool. You guys are jamming out Rise Come Together.
It's really good.
And then I was like, I think that this is pretty good. And then I went back. It was the first thing I listened to. I texted the thread and I was like, I can't believe the first thing I'm listening to from a show is Rise Come Together. And I
Exactly.
put it on like right when the show posted, I put it on and I was like, oh my God. I drove in my car this morning to listen to it because that's like the ultimate test. Like, can this get you on a long drive? And I was just like, this is it right here. The second set, whew. But man, that Rise Come Together, that is something else. Evan, thank you so much, man, for hanging with
Appreciate
us here.
you guys. Y'all are the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks for joining
dude.
us,
And
man.
you look like you're in a
Thank you for
very
coming.
idyllic place to recover from last night's show, and we wish you the best as you do so.
Absolutely. Hope to see you guys on tour, and I'll be tuning in soon. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks,
Awesome,
Evan.
man.
Take care.
We'll have you back on here shortly.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Later, dude. All right, guys. Well, we are all home for tonight. You guys aren't going to Merriweather, so we're going to be hanging out, kicking it. Any predictions ahead of tonight's show?
Tweezer.
It feels like it's ready.
If I don't get a long nap, I'm not making it through set 2. That's my prediction.
It's a good prediction. It's a good prediction.
Yeah, I might not make it to set 2 either. And that might be a listening back in the morning kind of a situation for me.
Shermith has Tweezer as well.
I actually want to say for Rick Silver out there, I bet you're not listening because you're on your way to the show. I hope you get your son of a mule and no one hurts you for calling it.
What a bold call. You're not at the show, so you can call son of a mule. Great job.
He's on his way. I'm not there.
Russ Tab says a big fat tweezer. None of this tweeze fest stuff. That is, I get what you're coming
that's
from.
funny.
Let's
like
get
that.
there's a jam I've been listening back to that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, the tweezer from Alabama on 529. I'd encourage everyone out there listening, go give yourself 22 minutes today, maybe a good pair of headphones or a good pair of speakers. The last 7 minutes of that jam blow my mind every time I listen to it. If they can do something like that, if they can approach this big summer 2022 jamming, like The Disease, The Wave of Hope, the Rise Come Together, the Set Your Soul Free to Tweezer, man, this place is going to, like this internet space, the roof at Merriweather, it's all going to lose itself. It's going to be crazy. So I've only been to Merriweather once. It is one of my favorite places to see Fish. I saw one of my favorite Fish shows of all time there. I feel very good about tonight's show. Just the vibe, the way that they're going into it. And we will be back tomorrow. We have some incredible guests tomorrow. We will have Alex Huckeren from the Antelope Running Club, which I'm very, very excited to talk with him about. I've participated in the Antelope Running Club a couple of times. Super fun stuff. Listen to Fish while run and
I saw their banner
shed some miles
on the lot yesterday, but I
Oh,
didn't
nice.
stop. I was following some other people, so we didn't stop. But I saw their banner out there.
Great people, great
awesome.
cause. I love what they do. And Sarah Zidian Weber. I hope I pronounced everyone's name correctly. If not, you're going to tell me tomorrow before we go live and I'll correct it. But we will have them on to recap night 1 at Merriweather. For now, I'm going to let my co-hosts go and hopefully have the ability to take a snooze. I don't know what the significant others in your house are saying about you taking a snooze after seeing Fish, but I'm hoping
all
you both have
alone,
space.
guys. I'm
Oh,
all alone.
nice.
I
My
got a
kids are at
teenager
camp. My
downstairs who
husband's in
doesn't care.
Florida.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
all alone.
You got it. You
It's
got the
like
house to
recovery
yourself.
dreams.
That is amazing. Well, thank you guys for sharing your thoughts on last night's show. It made it feel like I was there, even though I was hanging out here in Colorado where we end summer tour. Can't wait for that, but we're still in the midst of it. Everyone out there, take care. As Trey keeps saying, and I love that he's saying this, be safe, be well, be good to each other. We will see you back here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. Later.
Bye, everyone.